Payback by any chance? Was that the Mel Gibson movie?
That could have. I think that might have been it. Yeah.
I was thinking that might have been the one. All right, now I looked it up.
Yeah.
There's apparently a gratuitous torture scene in it. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, we beat around the bush enough. Let's jump to the old mainstay of torture, for which this show gets most of its content, and without it would give us almost nothing to talk about. Medieval Europe.
Yay!
Yay! We're home. That's where torture lives. Medieval Europe.
Yeah. Spanish were quite big fans of it, all right, as well.
Oh yeah, just all of them. The whole fucking continent was just eating it up.
Meanwhile, we were sitting there eating our spuds, being all innocent.
Just saying, can you just leave us alone?
Yeah.
We're just gonna sit over here. You leave us alone. Everything's fine.
One comes in, eventually leaves. Another one arrives at the shores as they're waving that last one away. Here comes somebody else. You dickhead. Fuck you, Europe. Anyway.
From the Middle Ages through the 18th century, Britain and Europe as a whole punished lesser offenses with a good old public whipping. The condemned party usually tied or manacled to a public whipping post. Like the Romans, this was sometimes a small part of a larger punishment, like spending days locked in a pillory of some sort, or lead up to a much more cruel end. Who knows? Sometimes the victim would have vinegar or salt rubbed into the wounds afterwards, both to disinfect as to ward off death, and to add a little bit more pain. I cannot imagine being whipped and then just cover them in salt and vinegar like a fucking potato chip.
Yeah. That's disgusting. Yeah, that's, yeah, dip them in salt water after. That's what you do.
Hand sanitizer. I think everybody after COVID realized how many cuts they had on their hands. Because everybody was using hand sanitizer. Fucking sucks. Now, public whippings of women were abolished in 1817, and then of men in 1862, but not really been used since about the 1830s. However, private whippings of men in prison continued. Prison guards, watchmen, others in authority would use them to keep the population in check. Whips like the chain whip, which is exactly what it sounds like. A foot-long handle was attached to 3 or 4 lengths of stout chain. Now, this wouldn't always break the skin because it was so heavy, wouldn't move fast enough, and it wasn't very sharp, but if used correctly, would break ribs, arms, and collarbones.
Gotcha.
Its cousin, the jailer's whip, was a short handle with 1 8 to 10 inch chain with a 4 to 6 ounce cast iron or lead weight on the end, and it had enough force to crush a man's skull.
I always thought the concept of the chain whip thing would be like an awesome D&D weapon. I'm shocked it doesn't really have something similar in it. Like, yeah, because it just sounds bad. So,
yeah, just playing D&D. Oh, you find a chain whip, and me and Dan are just like, no, put it down, walk away. Yeah. Put it down and walk away. And then you had the bullet whip, which had 2 or 3 dozen musket balls sewn into a leather tube and attached to the wooden handle, and it was said to be just as effective as the chain whip as breaking bones.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
This was like the original sock full of quarters. Is it?
Sock full of quarters. Yeah. Hold the guy down with his own blankets and just beat the fuck out of him. Yeah. Except, lead balls. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's What you should do is you should put some of the gunpowder in and kind of light a little bit, so every time you hit something, like it's like
English roulette.
Yeah.
You just swing it and wait to see if any of them blow up. Well, these wouldn't be abolished until about 1948, with the exception of a justice ordering them done on a prisoner that had committed an assault on prison staff. And that wouldn't be abolished until 1967, being used last around 1962.
Jesus. Yeah, you kind of... I don't know. Yeah, I think it's really weird where the amount of stuff that's still kind of fresh, if you get me.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, sorry, wait a second now. What year did you say it was abolished?
It was officially abolished in 1967.
67. So,
yeah.
Put it into perspective. 2 years later, man landed on the moon.
Yep.
That's how long ago? Short time ago.
I Love Lucy had come and gone.
People were still... Yeah.
Well, look up real quick. What was the biggest movie in 1967?
Okay. Biggest movie 1967 was... was The Graduate. The Graduate. But it was released. It's funny enough, actually. It's ranked number one on it. Despite it was released at the end of the year, though. So let's say, realistically, probably Gone with the Wind, or The Jungle Book. The Graduate came out right at the end of the year. So it was still the top-grossing movie of the year, despite the fact it came out 9-10 days before the end of the year.
Yeah,
like in the 10 days after it was released, it grossed 104,302,000.
The Graduate, really?
Yeah, versus Gone with the Wind, which was released 3 months beforehand, which only got nearly half of that. There's actually some good movies released that year. Casino Royale came out that year. The Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Bonnie and Clyde was out that year. So Dirty Dozen came out that year.
Yeah, they were just abolishing being able to whip people with chains in English prisons.
The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, let's take a step back a few years. Thanks to the Mutiny Act of 1689, flogging became an official British military policy for disobedient soldiers. Standard sentence for minor infractions was established at 10 lashes and up to 39 for more serious transgressions. Which still seems like a lot of pain, but, could be worse. However, people rarely learn from punishment. This time you get 10, next time you get 20. Nobody wants to learn from their crimes? Well, fine, we'll move it up to 50. Still no, we'll move it up to 100, and so forth. And by the early 1700s, a deserter could be sentenced to as many as 900 lashes. And if the desertion took place while he was on guard, it could go as high as 1,500.
Why? Why? Like, what's the fucking point of that shit? Like, really? Like, what? I just don't get the point.
So, October 1762, 3 men were convicted of dereliction of duty and sentenced to 800, 600, and 300 lashes, respectively. When such a harsh sentence was imposed, an army surgeon was always on hand to see that the man didn't die of the wounds, and if shock or blood loss became too severe, a temporary halt was called and the man was taken to the infirmary to recover before the rest of the punishment could commence. So,
that's just...
they're they're in the infirmary like, how are you feeling? What happens when I get to leave? Oh, they give you the rest of your lashes. Still not feeling too good. Think I'll stay in bed for a little while.
Yeah.
Still not feel. Well, your wounds are looking pretty good. Nope, still hurting. Think I might die. Still think I might. I got the coughs.
Yeah,
Think I might
got
die.
the COVID from the lashes.
Just gonna have to leave me here. I got the COVID. Yeah, I would never be okay again. Like, are you okay to go? No, I will never. No, for as long as you ask, I will never be okay. Anyway.
Fuck that shit. I just still don't get. Like, I don't understand why. Like, you subject somebody to. Well, I know why some people are just fucking freaked, but like subjecting somebody to 800 lashes over anything, like it gets to a stage, though, I'm sure, where it's just like, surely they'd be passed out. You know, you've already gone beyond completely maiming them.
Yeah.
At that stage, like they won't have any flesh left on their back. I know you probably move on to other parts as well, but
well, again, so the army surgeon could stop it and say he's had enough for now. You know, he needs to rest and heal, and we'll get back to it when he's fully healed. Sometimes they were ordered, you know, however many hundreds of lashes, and they would take as many as they thought they could handle, and then they would say, okay, you learned your lesson, and we'll cut it short. There were a few stories I saw where people were sentenced to like 400 whips of, 400 canings, and they got through like, I don't know, 100, and they said, okay, you've had enough, and they reduced the sentence down.
Just one, and I've had enough. Thank you very much for future reference. For
anything wrong I might do, I want it on record that one is enough.
Just in case you get caught for stealing an orange again or something stupid.
I won't do it anymore. Just one. Well, caning or keel hauling? Which one would you rather have?
Oh, probably the cane.
Yeah, I would think the cane.
Yeah,
because at least then somebody will stop it if you've had too much.
Yeah, that's true.
My luck, somebody would keel haul me, and I'd be halfway under the boat, and they'd be like, "I think he's had enough. Let's stop now," and they just leave me down there.
There'd be guys under the water waiting to cane you while you're going through.
Just scuba divers, old pirate scuba gear.
Keel cane.
It's just the sponge. The guy got the oily sponge in his mouth. Down there, just whipping you as you go by. Kids, that's what we like to call it. That's what we call a callback.
You get a lump of wood from the keel of the ship, so it has the barnacles on it, and you do your whipping with that.
Oof.
Now that is like, I know, barnacle whip.
Oh God!
I'm writing that down for D&D.
Like, you're just like
whip.
One step removed from Ling Chi at that point. Then,
yep,
you're just cutting people open.
Barnacle whip. Guess what my
barnacle whip
character's gonna.
God damn it! I'm not playing D&D with you.